he is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Shay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show. My name is Jay, and I am the Sales Ninja, where we cut through the noise, ditch the outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. If you're tired of chasing leads, handling endless objections, and feeling like you have to convince people to buy, you're definitely in the right place. Here, we do sales differently. We believe in positioning over pressure, where the right people lean in without the need for pushy tactics. That's the heart of the reverse glass selling framework. A kingdom-driven approach built on trust, service, and true connection. Because when you lead with value, sales becomes effortless. And when you sell more, you can actually give more. And today we've got something very special for you. Our guest is a client success expert and founder of Beyond the Sale, a platform that's helping high-ticket businesses bridge the critical gap between sales and delivery. With over 5 years of coaching experience with over hundreds scaling multi-million-dollar programs, Shyanne Tan is here to share why the high-ticket sales gold rush might be over soon, if we don't fix client success, and how you can avoid burnout while building a thriving business. Please welcome Shyanne Tan. Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show, Shyanne. How are you?
Thanks, Jay. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Well, thank you for taking a late night show for the Sales Ninja Show podcast guests and audience. I wanted to jump right in because when you are helping over the last 5 years scale 550 businesses into the multi-million dollars, and you said, and the podcast title is Why the High Ticket Sales Gold Rush Might Be Over Soon If We Don't Fix Client Success. Why don't we start there? Because I think a lot of people are puzzled as to maybe what do you mean by the sales gold rush might be over in the high ticket sales industry, because that's a strong hook. And what do you mean by if we don't fix client success?
Yeah. So I think if we rewind a little bit, a lot like the high ticket space really exploded during COVID because there was just so much opportunity. A bunch of closers entered the market, a bunch of high ticket companies started, and online education was really booming. And I think we're coming at a point now where it's like, been 4 or 5 years post COVID, where those companies are really maturing and they're starting to hit those levels of scale where client delivery is now the bottleneck. And so in order to have like a sustainable business, it's kind of like a seesaw where you have to manage both. And you kind of hear it from all kind of murmurs in the community of closers are upset with the way that they're being treated. Founders are upset with like just the way that their company is scaling and they're starting to burn out. And you kind of feel like there's a big problem here that we need to fix if we want the industry to mature.
100%. And there is a huge, having been a closer for many years, the marketers blame the salespeople blame the marketers or the founders, where, the closers would say the leads are no good, people no-showed, or they weren't qualified for budget. And then the marketers or the founders would be like, well, you're not good at sales, you suck at sales, or you're not following up with the leads, or you're not making the effort, or you don't have the energy, and all these different things where the people go back and forth. And you were saying that client success, that journey, is a big gap. So tell us more about maybe your personal journey. How did you enter this space, and did you start off in closing?
Yeah, so how I got into the space was I started a digital marketing agency like right on the edge of COVID. And at that time, my brother was also scaling his high ticket company, his high ticket coaching company, where he was training agency owners on how to start their agencies. And so we ended up working together and I was building out his client fulfillment systems and still running my agency at the same time. It just worked out really nicely with what we were doing. And my background was in business coaching before I entered the high ticket space. So that's how I got kind of roped in.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because, when you said you worked with your brother and he was training agency owners on how to scale agencies, working with your family, that some would say would it be a big no, and some would be and say that if you can do it well, that could be the most powerful thing. What is your take on it? And would you recommend not doing that if you could, or would you say, if you had the right, personality or the right relationship, what would you recommend after having done that?
I would say if you have the right relationship, personality, and communication for it, like it's one of the coolest experiences ever, because you understand each other on a completely different level. And I think you obviously share a lot of usually the same values. And we had a shared mission of like wanting to retire our parents. So we knew everything that we did was like for our family, which made it really powerful when we were hitting those rough times. But also to give you some context was like, we've been working together since he started his first company, and I was like 13 or 14 at the time. So we're very familiar with that dynamic. I can see how it would be challenging for siblings if you have grown into totally different people and you're suddenly now having to like work together.
Yeah, because that whole mix seems very foreign to most people that are listening to this, because some people have experienced where their family and even friends, closest friends, best friends, work together. And, I've heard nightmare stories of betrayal, of, cleaning out the bank account, of lying and cheating and stealing. And, when you have or had your best friend or even a brother or sister or sibling, they want to compartmentalize that because they don't want to be able to, have that relationship broken. Because if you have a relative that is, blood related, and that goes sour, then you no longer have that because of people breaking that relationship. So how do you avoid those things from happening? Because obviously you worked with your brother since you were a young teenager, but for many years at working with him and knowing each other's personalities, and also being when I know my friends and my for my wife and even for my brother's personalities, we can be very impatient with each other. We can be very temperamental.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think you have to get along as people in general and have really good communication. I think it's also like kind of respecting each other's roles. Like he was the CEO. So at the end of the day, I knew he had final say, and I didn't want that role. Like I very much in that time of my career was like wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had my own agency, and I didn't want that same thing for a coaching company. I didn't want to be the CEO. So I think that was a big part of it. And knowing too, like having that shared mission, I think is extremely important, because at the end of the day, when you're fighting about something, you just know, like, is this for the good of the company, or is this like my ego getting in the way? Do I just want to get throw a point on the board for myself right now, or like throw a point on the board for the team? You just have to want to like win more than you want to be right.
Ooh, that's so good. There's so many gold nuggets that you just threw there, like throwing that point for the team or for the self, because this is a selfish desire that, I'm right and you're wrong, or is this a win for the team? And I think you said it really well. Is this going to be a win, or are you just trying to be right to win an argument? but lose the sale or lose the business or even lose the relationship. You also mentioned the word entrepreneur. For those who are maybe listening, they might not have heard that word before. If you can kind of define or share what that means, and then coupled with that, what were some of the significant challenges that you faced on your entrepreneurial path?
Yeah. Okay. So an entrepreneur would be like you're kind of getting to be an entrepreneur within that company. So you're not like the CEO. You don't have to have like, I guess, all of the problems that the CEO has, but you get to build your own stuff within that. So for example, when we were launching an upsell offer, I got to really build out what that offer looked like. And I got to also build out what the modules would look like and how this would best serve the client. So I wanted more of that. And I didn't want to like worry too much about sales and marketing. And he's really good at that.
Amazing. And what were some of the significant challenges that you had in your entrepreneurial journey? Obviously, you worked with your brother at a young age and you were an entrepreneur. When did you make that shift, and what were some of the problems that you faced? Because being someone that works in the company or the business is different from you actually running it yourself.
Yeah. So I started a painting company first, it was under, if you're Canadian or from the US, it's College Pro. So it was like a super popular student franchise company. And that was my introduction to entrepreneurship. And that was really tough because I was like going to school full time, and it's a physical role. And I was able to scale it to where I think I still hold the record as the largest business run by the first year female entrepreneur in 50 years of the franchise.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I learned a lot in those years, but I also burnt out. It was like once I left that, I ended up actually dropping out of university, and I had a back injury that happened on one of the job sites.
Oh, no.
Where I've then had chronic pain for the next 2 years and really struggled to walk and just live a normal life. So starting out my 20s in that way with my health was, it made me rethink a lot of things in life. What is chasing the numbers worth it? What does that even look like? What is money and what is success? What is achievement? And I realized that a big part of it was I was very achievement focused, and I wasn't very good at enjoying the journey or enjoying life. I was just hyper focused on making something of my life.
Wow. So let's talk numbers if you can divulge. You said you worked with College Pro. You're also from Canada. Having started this College Pro, which is a painting franchise, you scaled it to the largest number in the first year of your business, which held a franchise history in, you said, about 50 years. What kind of numbers are we talking about, and how on earth did you get to that number?
Yeah. So it was the largest for the female entrepreneur. My brother holds actually the largest for the others.
Are you for real? You both hold the records for the male and female?
We do, yeah.
That's so cool.
So yeah, so I think in that sense, you run the business for 4 years, 4 months, where you have that time to complete it, because especially in the summers, it's a summer company, right? It's a seasonal company. So in that 4 months, I did over 235,000 in revenue. Wow. And that was as a first year intro entrepreneur, I think I was 17, 18 at the time. And I had no idea how to paint a house. I had to learn how to paint a house, how to do sales. We went door to door. Everything was very bootstrapped.
Wow. So 4 months, that's 235,000. So what happened at the end of the year? How?
So you close down your business in September
Oh, right,
because you
right,
start
right.
school.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So you have basically from January to April to market, to learn
Okay.
how to paint, and to hire and
Okay.
basically prep. And then you have like once May hits, you finish your final exams and you start producing all this work. And yeah, it was kind of, it's like I haven't thought about it in so long. It's kind
Yeah, I
of
bet.
crazy when I think about it.
So I just want to take people through the sales process since this is a Sales Ninja Show podcast. Let's talk about the sales process. If you can help map out even like this College Pro thing, and then we're going to get into your business and how you scale other businesses. So, you know, I'm just thinking, was there training? Was there onboarding? If so, how long did that take? You're also in the middle of exams as a student, finishing as a 17-year-old young lady, and then I'm just thinking, like, how many doors did you have to knock on? Or I don't know if you had a team or you're doing it by yourself. How long were the hours? So that's a lot of questions, like onboarding, because that would take, let's say it took a 4-week time, then you've actually lost a month unless you were doing it in the preseason. So take us and walk us through that whole process.
Yeah, these are all very good questions. So essentially, I think it got me really good at dealing with uncertainty because you learn everything as you go. So it's like you sign on and then December, you learn how to do marketing, how to do the door-to-door pitches, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then January, you learn how to estimate the houses and do the quotes. And then February is like, you learn everything layer by layer. And then how you market is like, man, you just try to hit as many doors as possible. So I'm from Calgary. It's really cold.
Yeah.
So we started in January. Basically, the hours were like, I would go to school from about 8 to 3.
Yeah.
And then I would drive an hour to the area that I was assigned. And then I would do door to door with me. And I only had one team member in my first year.
Wow.
And it was just us. And we would go door to door from about 4:30 to about 9 or 9:30.
Oh my gosh.
And then we would put up signs around the neighborhood from 9:30 to 10.
Wow.
And then I would go home and do my homework and, everything else. And then weekends would be estimates. So that would be like back-to-back sales, essentially like sales consultations with homeowners for about anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And you're closing, the average ticket size was anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 on average.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest deal I ever closed was 75 grand for a condominium.
What? How did you land that?
So in my second year, I got my painters really good at getting referrals. So it turned out that one of the clients owned a condominium, and we got the referral.
Wow. Amazing. So door-to-door pitches, like, I mean, I'm in Toronto, so I mean, I know how cold it is here. In Calgary, you can get to like minus 20 to 40 degrees Celsius. I mean, we're talking like freezing cold weather, and you're out there like knocking on doors for 5.5 hours. That in itself is, an uphill battle. When you're doing these door-to-door pitches, share with us a sales ninja nugget of, how did you get people to slam the door less or not F-bomb you?
I think it's just like smiling does wonders. If you just smile and you show up with like really an open energy, people are like, like, come in, it's so cold. How can I help you?
Yeah.
I think that's also like Canadians can be quite nice. But I would also say like the biggest thing that I learned when it came to the door-to-door sales was a no is never a no. Until you get 3 no's, like you can there's usually something in there, or you can usually get something out of the interaction, whether it's a referral or just like a quick conversation that like gives you motivation to go to the next door. Sometimes it's just about like being able to get yourself to the next door.
Okay. So I know we didn't prep for this, so I'm going to just put you on the spot just for fun because you've done the reps. We'll do a sales role play where, you're knocking on the door and I have a wife and 3 kids, true story, and I have a dog, and my reservation is like, we've heard people have their homes broken into when they let people from the door to doors, like who have the badges and supposedly say they're from hydro or energy or lawn care or even painters, right? And there's been break and enter. So there is a sense of fear and protection that I have. But let's say, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be open, give this girl a shot. Okay, you're a 16, 17-year-old girl. You're knocking the door. And so we go, tuk, 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 and I open the door. Hi, hello, may I help you?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Shyanne. I'm the College Pro franchisee in the area. I'm just booking jobs for our painting company that's coming up in this summer. Do you have any work that you would need looked at?
We just got, what are they called? Hardy boards put in, literally. So they're brand new. We don't really need any. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah. Do you have any fences or decks that haven't been touched in a couple of years?
We do have a brand new fence that was touched up and varnished and stuff like that. So that's good. We have a gate that is broken. So that's not going to be paintable because we just need to fix that. So not really.
Okay, that's totally fine. Is there anything on the interior of your home that you would need?
If you asked maybe a year and a half ago, yes, the whole thing, but we just re-gutted and rebuilt our entire house from the inside out. So everything's brand new.
That's amazing that you guys really stay on top of it. Is there any like window cleaning or eaves trough cleaning that you guys would potentially need as just regular maintenance?
You're really good. Okay, so that is a place of pain, because I was just actually opening it last night because it was getting warmer, and I noticed the dirt, and I don't have a power washer, and I've been too lazy to do it. So do you clean windows? I don't know if it's from the outside or the inside or like all the gunk in the windowsills.
Yeah, we do both. And like, even while we're up there, we can also take a look at just, did you have your trim also hardy board, or is that still wood?
Trim at the top or where? Sorry, I don't know.
Like around your windowsills, your door sills?
I think they're wood. I'm not even sure. Vinyl? I don't even know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
So we can take a look at all of that, make sure everything's all good while we're cleaning up the windows. And then like while I'm at it, I may as well just give you a quote for the trim painting as well, since that's usually the first place to get damaged within the next couple of years. Okay. So either way, it's totally up to you, but I'm happy to give you a quote on it.
Great. And now, are you guys licensed if any one of your workers, has an accident? And if so, how much are you going to cover till?
Yeah, so we have over $2 million in coverage. We're a franchise company, so we have the franchise covering all of our licensing, and I also have all of the appropriate licensing under workers' health compensation, WCB, in Canada, and I've registered with the Alberta government already.
It's been a while, right? That's a side comment. So why should I pick you over the university pros? You guys are college pros. Isn't university better?
Yeah, so College Pro is actually the original student franchise company. So most of our training has just been a lot more developed. University franchise, that brand came up a lot after, and it was actually somebody from College Pro who started it, and we've developed our processes even since then.
Okay. And how long does it take to do the window washing and the paint trimming if you guys got the contract?
Yeah, so I'll have to take a look. So if I can get like your name and your phone number, and then let's book you in for an estimate for sometime this weekend, and then I can come by and walk you through what the whole process looks like, how long it would take, and the price.
Great. And is there any like guarantee or customer satisfaction if something happens, or the paint chips, or maybe the person that's doing the work had a bad day?
Yeah, so we have a 2-year guarantee. That's the benefit with going with a franchise, is a lot of the time if you go with like an independent contractor, they might not be around like next year. Whereas like franchises, even if I leave, for example, the next franchisee will come in and still uphold that agreement. Okay, awesome. Here's my name. Here's my number. Awesome. So out of role play, that was amazing. Like you were so smooth. You could tell that you've been doing your reps.
You took me from a no, and you said wait for 3 no's, because I said at least 3 no's with the backyard, the fence, the gate,
Indoor.
the indoor, outdoor, right? I think I had at least 5 or 6, and I didn't even know that you guys offered window cleaning, because I just think College Pro is just painting.
Exactly. And usually like with the windows, I think it's just an easy maintenance thing that you can always throw up, and people don't enjoy doing that. It's also scary having to go up there. And then, like I said, it's like once you have them in, you can upsell them to something else, which would be like, let me just give you that quote on the painting. Like while I'm at it, I'm already counting the windows and everything. I may as well count the trim.
100%. And then just as a side note, and Shyanne, that was amazing. If as a business owner, you have this kind of a business, College Pro, or any business for that matter, and you have a joint venture partner where you don't specialize, for example, in lawn care. Like, so I hate cutting the grass. I hate weeding. I have an anthill problem. I was just Googling it this morning before the podcast, and I'm like, it's such a nuisance, right? So if somebody asked me the right questions and said, hey, do you have any problems on your lawn? Do you have a weed problem? And if you ask the right questions, or what problems do you have in the presentation of your house, whether it's inside or outside? That's a more general question that will really get a better answer. I'd be like, I got anthill problems. I've got a basement leak problem. I got that. And I'm just like revealing my cards. And then if you had like a triage list of your joint venture partners, whether it's a real estate agent, a stager, a landscaper, a weed control, pest control, animal control, rodent control, anthill control, like you can literally, from a referral fee, just continue to upsell people, because when you become the one stop hub where you are the person that has connections with everyone, you can like make so much more money. Right? Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, I think I love having referral partners. It's just also, in my opinion, I think that's also just great client delivery, is like, if I can't help you with whatever you need, like, but I can help you solve the solution, whenever you do need your house painted or whatever it is, you'll probably want to think of me, and I'll probably call you and follow up anyways, because I have your information now as well to do that.
Amazing. So even with College Pro, did you guys have a database or CRM where you guys were entering that and like automating a process to, I know it's way back when, but did you guys have a system like that back then, or not really?
We didn't, mostly because I think like each franchisee handled things really differently depending on how you wanted to do things. So I think that was like also part of the fun for me, was just figuring out like, here are the systems that I was given. Now, how do I want to make it my own? And what are like, my ultimate outcomes.
Would it be interesting if you went back and you kind of flexed a little bit so that you reminded people at College Pro of what you accomplished and your brother, and you come back with all this experience to bring a systemized process, SOPs, automations, client acquisition systems, strategies, marketing, sales, and give them like a $100,000 package, business in a box, and said, based on my experience, based on my success, and based on what I've learned since then, I've actually developed a robust, client delivery system.
Yeah, I think it could be really interesting. The thing is, College Pro had a sale where they got sold, I think, a few years back. Okay. So I don't know what's really happening with them anymore, but it's so interesting. I do think a lot of like because it's such a service-based company, right? And like, you're dealing with people's largest assets. Like, they care about their homes, and you're working right in front of them. So you can't really hide anything. And I think like at the end of the day, coaching businesses are service-based businesses. So a lot of actually what I learned from those days with how to get like a high NPS score, how to be more profitable through referrals and upsells and all of that, I still have pulled it into these frameworks that I have in Beyond the Sale now, which is like, I guess I didn't really think about it until now that we're revisiting those painting days.
Amazing. So I'm going to touch on a point in terms of achievement, and then we're going to spend the rest of the time in terms of how you help grow, scale companies into multi-millions and what the client success looks like. So you said a comment earlier in the podcast where, you were just achieving these amazing feats as a young 17-year-old lady to help be the number one college pro, revenue builder. And you said that you paid the price for it, your back, your health, as a young 20-year-old, you had all these health issues. And you said, am I achievement focused? And it really resonated with me because, as an Asian who grew up in a performance driven childhood because of my immigrant parents who came with nothing and had to build everything. Basically, we were just kind of standing on their shoulders as they bent over backwards to break their backs, to sacrifice their lives, to have a better, upbringing and future for their children, which is, us. Do you find that, I don't know if your childhood being in an Asian family was like that, where it was performance based and achievement focused? Did that have a play in your upbringing and how you did business?
Yeah, it definitely did. My parents were quite traditional, and so my brother had started going to law school, and he ended up leaving that, and then he moved into like a corporate career, and I think he battled with that as well, and I think so combination of watching him go through that, and then of course my own experience with my parents and the expectations they had of me as I think Asian women have a different expectation from their parents. It was very much like, I had kind of big things I wanted to do with my life. And it was more so focused on like, you should get married and you should have kids and here's how to run a household. And by the way, you should also be a doctor. And I was like, okay, for sure. So when I had applied for university, it was like what I really wanted was to be a dermatologist.
Oh, nice.
And then I realized like I had gotten accepted into that program and a business program. And I was like, I cannot see myself wanting to do this health sciences program. I love science, but not like a career. I'm just going to go to business. And then I ended up dropping out 3 years later.
You're so close.
I was so close. And my parents were like upset to say the least.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But it definitely was like kind of that unraveling of those expectations of myself when you don't have your health, I think you start to question like, what is the purpose of life? If I can't like walk or sleep, then yeah, what's the point of anything? Achievement doesn't really matter.
That's so good. Because growing up, and I'll get off the soapbox in just a minute, but there's a lot of comparison growing up. There's a lot of like the dentist, doctor, lawyer. That's your life. That's your track in life. And so I even studied science and business at University of Waterloo to, I think become a doctor or go to MIT and all these different things that my parents wanted me to do. I love my parents. They're incredible. And the reason why we're here is because of them. But that whole strive for achievement, caused burnout. It caused to a fault. The work ethic is the redemptive part of it, where I think, and you could probably relate, is the work ethic of, outworking almost anyone in the room because of that drive is what drives me in athletics, drives me in my mental mindset and toughness, drives me in, coaching and winning a lot of trophies and championships for my, with my kids and their teams. And even in my own business and how I help my clients is that work ethic to help them win and achieve the greatest accomplishment that they could, whether it's relational, whether it's financial, whether it's business growth. You said it really well. If you can't walk or sleep, what's the point? So where does that take you from burnout to an achievement to how did you come out of that? And where are you now?
Yeah. Okay. So once I had dropped out, then I went on a backpacking trip.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Like I was able to, they fixed my back basically. And I was able to like be not 100% pain-free, but I was like 80% pain-free at that time.
Okay.
And I just was like, I'm getting out. Like, I'm just going to go live my life and be a normal, like 21-year-old. So then that ended up just being like figuring out like, what do I want to do? So I did a bunch of random jobs. I ran a bike tour. I worked in bars. I built out like marketing systems for a couple of hotels, things like that. Whatever I could just like get my hands on, I just wanted to try it and really figure out like, what do I enjoy? And like, it was so simple, but then that brought me up to COVID. And I was reflecting on the trip, and I realized like at the end of the day, I don't know like exactly what the vehicle is yet, but I know it is like, I love being of service to people. And because that was like the commonality between all of it. I was like, these are all just different skills that I have that I was able to be of service with. And again, it seems so simple, but that was really like the takeaway that I had from, that couple of years of figuring it out.
Amazing. So I'm going to segue into the scaling of strategies, but I mean, you had some pretty major health issues and back issues. And I'm sure that whoever's listening here who has back issues, like you said, they helped fix your back to 80%. Just out of curiosity, who helped you fix your back? Like in terms of what did they do? And because people who are ailing in pain or maybe on their beds or on the sofas are not able to walk, what kind of help did you get?
So I think my situation was a little bit different. So basically, I had fallen off of a roof, and the doctors are kind of funny where they were just like, "You're young, you'll heal, it'll fix itself."
Oh my gosh.
And the pain progressively got worse. I was just given painkillers, and that was the solution. So then it wasn't until I had like truly advocated for myself, and I was like, I need an x-ray. I'm in so much pain. I can't function. I can't even go to class. And that was why I dropped out of school.
Oh my gosh.
And that was when they finally gave me an x-ray, and it turned out that my rib was out of place. And so they just had to put my rib back in place. And then I just had a lot of physio to do afterwards.
How long was it before you got seen from the doctor saying, hey, just take an Advil, you'll be better, you're young? How long did it take for you to get the x-ray?
Almost 2 years.
You waited that long? You were in that much pain for 2 years?
Yeah. So I had like gained 50 pounds. I stopped going to class because I couldn't physically like get there anymore. And I just felt like I didn't know who, like I did chronic pain. I think that's my greatest fear is as I age is anything that is like chronic pain, because you wake up and like, that's all you think about. There's nothing else that you think about, and all you want is relief. So that it's literally like survival mode 24/7.
So if you were to go back in a time machine, because you suffered for 2 years with a rib being out of place, I can't even imagine being in discomfort for 2 minutes, let alone 2 years. What would you do, or what would you tell yourself from that time machine for your present self who's in so much pain but don't know what's going on?
I would say advocate for yourself. I think I was always just like, I'm not strong enough. I'm not like, there's something wrong with me. I just kind of put the blame on myself, not even thinking like, oh, there's something that like the doctors can do for me. I just assumed like it was something that I was doing that was wrong. I don't know what was wrong, but I think just at the time, like I was so young that I had no idea really like that people don't have your best interest in mind all the time, or they don't know what's going on.
Wow. As a person who was a pastor for 10 years and went to seminary, did my master's in divinity, the Asian culture is one of shame and honor theology. And I hear a lot of this in what you're saying. And we can dig deeper either offline or in another part too. But, that putting the blame on myself is something that is very common among the Asian culture, because, it surely can't be anyone else's fault. And whether it was from childhood or external sources, we just are the harshest critic for ourselves. And in Mark 12:30, the Bible, it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. And we hear this, or maybe have heard this verse maybe a lot, but one thing I know for certain, at least for myself, that I've missed or kind of didn't recall was love your neighbor. And then as yourself, are you loving yourself? Are you looking at the mirror and are you happy with who you see? Because I know when I, mess up on, the field in athletics or my business, I'm like, I am such a harsh critic and I have no mercy on myself. And I'm like, you idiot, and I just say all these different things when I play golf and I do a dumb shot. Like, I'm just like, oh, and this self-talk, this negative, this like I blame, it goes into a downward spiral that is not ever good. So I think that's something that I think we need to be aware of and actualize so that we can identify. And unless we're aware and identify, we can't help ourselves. So I think you said it really well. Advocate for yourself, find your voice, and do something about it. Take action. So speaking about action, let's talk about some of the startup challenges and scaling strategies for these, high-ticket businesses. What are some of the key strategies that you have seen work best when scaling high-ticket coaching programs sustainably?
Yeah, so with high-ticket coaching, I think it's a people business at the end of the day, right? So naturally, the risk is the people. Not in the sense of like you can't trust them or they're not qualified. That is obviously true for any role that you hire for. But I think the unique thing with high ticket coaching is as you scale, it's hard to duplicate yourself as the expert. So you need to have those systems and processes that other coaches can step in and deliver a consistent experience no matter who the coach is. That's the biggest missing link that I see with these high ticket companies is a coach gets hired and it's like, okay, cool, you're a sales expert, go coach, go do what you know how to do. And then suddenly you start scaling and you hire more sales coaches, but delivery isn't consistent. You have one sales coach delivering in one way and a totally another way. And you're running basically like 5 different companies without knowing it and putting out fires all of the time. And the biggest risk is when one of these people leave, because then they're holding like hundreds of thousands in revenue in accounts. And whoever steps in, if there's no standardized process, that person who steps in is going to deliver completely differently as well. And obviously, it depends on how the delivery was. That person might not be happy, and you might be dealing with a whole bunch of refunds again. So that's like where the bottleneck is like any company that scales it's all about systems and standardization once you start hitting these bigger numbers. It's no longer just about how hard do we hustle for sales.
Wow, you said a lot there that's just so vital. Let's just break this down a little bit. So you said, to recap, is this inconsistent delivery is what causes these gaps, refunds, and companies to not scale. And the opposite being true is needing systems, needing the processes to deliver consistent experience. So what kind of systems and processes do you help put into place that helps sustainable scaling?
So, like, I would say the key systems that most coaching companies need is one, an onboarding system. There's so many coaching companies that you see where it's like they double revenue in 3 months, but then somehow a third of the clients never even got introduced to a coach and everything fell through the cracks. Onboarding can also really set the tone for what that relationship looks like and how satisfied that client is. So onboarding system, you also need a reliable customer journey map. So you need all the coaches to know what direction should I be taking the clients down, like at all times. If your coach is like ever winging it, then that's like a deviation that could cost you customers. Then, of course, you also need the coaching call like SOP, so like a certain framework so that coaches don't jump on and like turn into people's therapists. And then you also need like a client escalation framework. So what happens when this client isn't happy? If you are like, as the founder or the leadership team, and you're the only person that knows how to deal with client escalations, refunds, you will become the bottleneck of the company, and like you will also burn out pretty quickly because it's just all problems are on you to fix. So I would say those are like the key systems. Of course, there's a lot more tracking and whatnot. Upsell. Oh, sorry, one more. Let's make it 5. Would be upsell and renewals, because I think if you do it right, client success becomes the biggest revenue driver for you. Instead of closing somebody just on the front end for 10K, you extend them into an upsell offer, and you can easily double or triple that lifetime value. Or you can even just do it as a renewal and at minimum double. So it's exactly what I did with the painting business, of getting my clients to give me referrals, give me testimonials, getting upsells through like how I upsold you from window cleaning to painting. You know, the hard part shouldn't be the upsell at all. If you are doing really, if you have the appropriate systems, clients should want to continue with you. They naturally have more problems. I'm sure as you've scaled, you know, you have more problems that you don't know how to solve.
Amazing. So that was so good. You talked about the different key systems, you know, 5 or so onboarding, you know, where the clients typically don't get the, you know, maybe onboarded or noticed. And they fall through the cracks, how satisfied your client is, a reliable customer journey map, then each coach needing to know which direction to give clients at all times, a coaching call SOP or framework, so that the coach knows how the call would go, so they stay within the guardrails and stay on target with the mission, client escalation, tracking, upsell and renewals. All those things are very key factors, because having been a closer for 7, 8 plus figure companies, you know, typically, and this is my experience, was, you know, okay, you're hired and we're going to onboard you for 4 weeks. And this was a health and wellness coaching company that I was doing high ticket closing sales for. And they booked a call on my calendar. So I got the call, I got the job on Sunday, and then I had a sales call booked at a Monday, 9 a.m.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, they said 4 weeks onboarding for training, you know, processes, you know, get in the Slack channel, understand, you know, what the product or the coaching service is, knowing what the prices and the price plans are, you know, knowing what the downsells, upsells, cross sells were. And I had no idea. And I got in this call because I didn't want to waste the lead. And I said, I have no idea how I got in this calendar. I am supposed to be trained for at least 4 weeks. And I don't even know how this program works or how much it costs. And the person on the other side laughed. And I was like, is he laughing at me? Like, I hate when people laugh at me, because now I feel embarrassed, shame and honor, right? And then he says, no, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, because I just got off, you know, 3 or 4 other calls with so-called health experts that promised the moon and were charging, you know, an arm and a leg. And the problem wasn't the price, but the way that they were selling it was so unethical and pushy that I didn't even like the vibe. And the way that you're doing is complete opposite, where you say you know nothing and you don't even know how the program works. I found that very just enlightening. So if you want to kind of figure this out on this call, since we're using this time, why don't we try to figure this out together? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. So I was going through Slack back and forth with my team. If anyone was there, I'd be like, what is this program about? How does it work? How long is it? How much is the investment? Are there payment plans? And then I'm just like kind of sweating buckets, because I'm just like, you know, I got everything upside down and I'm not ready because I wasn't onboarded or trained. And then the guy at the end of the call was like, I would like to be your first sale today. And I've done that twice with the last 2 closing positions that I was a part of. The last one, the person that was supposed to take the calls wasn't taking any of the inbound calls. So I was at a Good Friday service, Easter time. And then the coach was like, can you get on these calls, because this person hasn't shown up. The closer didn't show up for his own calls. So can you take them, because we're wasting money. So I ran back home. I don't even know what the product is. And I'm like, we could try to figure this out together. And long story short, just like the other one, a 30K deal closed.
Jay, you're insane. That's so incredible.
But I'm like
freaking out.
Freaking out. And so I'm like, I have no idea how to do this, and I don't know why I'm in this situation so many times. But the better I can ask questions, just like how you did, like, hey, I think you said it really well. And I'll go back to the beginning of your conversation when we're doing the door-to-door knocking sales role play. Like I'm like, my posture is like, I'm not letting you in my door. I'm not opening my wallet for you. And then your smile, your openness, and even when I said nope, 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 and you just smile and say, hey, no worries, that's okay. Do you have any other areas? And just ask better questions. And I just start to open up, and that I'm not gonna let you in, kind of like, oh yeah, actually that's a really good. I actually really need help a lot on my windows because I was just looking at them yesterday, and I noticed that there was so much grime there, and I'm like, ew. My wife has been talking about that, and I've been not doing anything about it for the last 2 years, right, or whatever. So you did a really great job of selling and upselling me in a way that didn't feel salesy, sleazy, or pushy. Let's talk about how your leadership and team building works, because when you're working, and I think you mentioned you were doing like 11 client success or I don't know what the client calls or audit calls. What do you do with those, and how do you help them?
Yeah, so part of it now is I help build out like customized client delivery systems for these high ticket coaching companies. And part of it first is like just doing a full audit of what delivery is like. So I review all of the calls. I try to see what are the onboarding calls like, what are the coaching calls like, how are they upselling? If there is an upsell, how are refunds being dealt with? So that's what I'm really getting into, is like all of the nitty gritty for what's happening on the ground floor. And then from there, then I can start mapping out and figuring out what is like the biggest revenue drivers, opportunities, and like leaks in the company. Because if we can just plug some of the leaks first, let's say if your refund rate is from like 9%, and we bring it down even to like 5%, that's probably in a 7-figure company. That's like a lot of money right there that you just recovered that can be put back into the company if you want, or kept for profit. And then if there's like an upsell opportunity, then we can create an upsell offer or a renewal offer, and those can be revenue drivers. But at the core of it, we have to make sure that client delivery is strong so that people want to continue with you. So that's what I'm doing with like those call reviews, is really diving into everything. And I think client delivery is like something so unique to the company. It's like, it's like a 6-month long sales journey essentially, or however long the program is. So if you kind of like look at it from that sense, you have to audit so much.
Amazing. I think how thorough and your attention to detail in the business to like basically nitpick and audit the things that people don't want to do or no one really does a lot of is really special. And I think that's your superpower. Reviewing all these calls from the A to Z, from beginning to end, the onboarding, the coaching, the upsells, the refund, the chargebacks, and understanding the client journey. Because when you think of like the Disney experience, which is really kind of what you're doing in the business world, high ticket space, is you're providing that client journey of like, as soon as you find your parking spot, you have, I went to Disney last year, we went to Universal Studios, and you have all these people with like their Disney stuff, and they've got these, like in the airport where they're directing the planes, they're directing the people. They're communicating, because there's like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people trying to find their way to Disney World, right? And you have this amazing experience where you're going through this path, and they're directing you every step of the way. And then when you get there, you're just like, like we're here, right? And every experience throughout is just like magical. That's why I call it Magic Kingdom, right? So I think that's what you bring, which is very special. I wanted to ask you this, and we'll close with this because I've taken too much of your time. We'll do a part 2 because there's just so much stuff that you've got here. Talk to us about this free gift and this VSL that you have unlocked $382,000 in 8 weeks without a single new client. That doesn't make any sense. What did you do? What did you do? How did you do it? And obviously we can go in deeper and opt into it to find out more. But can you just share with us firsthand, what did you do and how did you achieve this?
Yeah, so this was for a 7-figure a month coaching company. And when I came in, their clients were pretty happy already. So I wasn't having to like, there were we took the refund rate down a little bit, but that wasn't the main focus. The main focus was around how do we get upsells and how do we turn client success into a revenue driver. So when I came in, they had 0 upsells, but they did have an upsell offer. And it was really training first, I mapped out the client journey with the team and we standardized delivery. So everybody then had a similar mindset for like the end goal for the client journey now is to upsell or to renew and to continue to offer solutions to the client. That was like the biggest shift that I saw with the team. And then from there, we really dialed in their upsell like cadence. And so what I mean by that would be when a client saw a win, that was now seen as an opportunity for an upsell or renewal or testimonial or referral. So those 4 revenue drivers is huge. And that's why we didn't need to worry about anything on the front end. And from there, it was insane. It was like we were just seeing all of these closes come from these account managers. And just to give you perspective as well was like, these are not like regular account managers. This was for a crypto coaching company.
Oh my gosh.
And
wow.
so these guys are crypto native and they would say it themselves. Like they're just kind of like nerdy guys who care about crypto and they have no idea how to sell or how to be account managers or coaches.
Wow.
So we really just worked on all of those skills and I provided them with these systems to be able to do it like confidently.
So I missed because you're sharing so many
sorry.
no, crypto nuggets, Bitcoin nuggets. You said when you saw a client win, there were 4 drivers. I heard you say testimonial, referrals, upsell. I missed one of them. I don't know if you
testimonials, upsells, renewals, and referrals.
Oh, renewals. Okay, gotcha. And so you gave them the skills, you gave them the systems. So what do you mean? Like you gave them a script and you had them run it through and this is how you ask for it, or this is how you get on a call with them to offer them more. What was it that you helped them do? The crypto nerds.
Yeah, so we did try scripts. I think their front-end sales manager had a script ready for them, but it wasn't really working because back-end sales is quite different where you have, like, imagine if you had a 6-month relationship with a client. You don't go in and do fresh discovery. You don't go in and just like there's so much that you can build off of. So one, I think it was like training the guys on the timing of the selling. So like you don't need to wait until the client reaches the end. If they saw like a huge uptick in their crypto portfolio and they're ready for that next step, then it makes sense. You offer that solution when they need it. So that was one thing. The other part of it was teaching them like how to have these conversations in non-salesy ways. So how to ask these questions based off of all of the context that you have of this person, and specifically how to prep for these calls. Because often if you're coming in and you're winging it, you're going to have to basically do fresh discovery and treat it like a sales call. But if you have all of your notes and data from the last 6 months of working with this person or 3 months or whatever, you should be able to pinpoint how can we help this person and how can I help them see that. That's the real key there, is it's kind of like coaching to a sale.
Yeah, I think you said that really well. And I think it's, what I would call is like high EQ, right? Like how to have a conversation. It's not just IQ, but it's understanding the emotional quotient of where that person is. They're on a like adrenaline rush or a high because they got an uptick or they got a big win or they got consistent, growth. And riding that wave says like, hey, we can help you scale, or we can help you get to another level where it could literally change your life. It could change. And then going back into where are their pains, where are their problems, where are their desires and dreams. And if the account manager or the account representative had the right notes saying, hey, my whole goal for doing this crypto business is so that I can retire my parents. You talked about that with you and your brother, right? And if that's the driver, is like, well, you just got an uptick of like, $15,600 in the last 6 days. We can help you accelerate that if you want to continue to sustain that and help retire your parents. And then you said the number that you needed to help retire them was at least a $15,000 monthly recurring revenue. We already hit that in 6 days. We want to help you hit that systematically, predictably with, such and such. And this is what we help them do in this program or this, elite, which is like the upsell.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And
that is powerful.
There's one thing, like there's, have you ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Sounds familiar. Tell me about it.
Okay. So I had to like Google it because I don't want to mess it up, but I'll read you the definition. So it's a cognitive bias where people with low ability in a specific area tend to overestimate their competence.
Wow.
So this is what happens with back-end sales typically is it logically usually makes sense, like everything you just said, right? But the person in the back of their mind, a lot of the time with coaching companies, they're thinking like, what do you mean? I did it. Obviously, I can keep doing it. And obviously, I'm going to keep doing it. Why would I need like this other thing? And so it's helping like them understand, here's the gap in your knowledge. Like, here's what you don't know. And here's how we can help with that. So that's usually what happens. And then you have a lot of other factors of like, even if somebody, a common problem in coaching programs is completion rate. I think like the average completion rate is like less than 20% or something ridiculous.
Wow.
And so when you get to the end and this person is like, well, I don't want to continue because I didn't even use it. Then one, we need to fix that in the client delivery system for getting that completion rate up, because then you basically have more leads to work off of. But two, you have to help them understand like that is why you need more coaching. Like your goal didn't just magically go away. If you still desire those things, we still need to handle these problems. And one of that problem right now is you completing. So why don't we renew and handle this together? Because if you can't do it like with us, like it's going to be pretty hard to also do it on your own.
Amazing. I have one last question, and we're going to do a lightning round. We're talking about future vision industry trends with AI and technology. What kind of trends do you see, especially in the high ticket industry, sales industry space, coaching space, and with even client success delivery? Will AI take over the world, take your job, take the closer's job? What do you see happening, and how do you plan for the future?
I don't think I see it happening in like the next 5 years, although who knows. I think it will help us be able to have more data and to like, so it'll help with the tracking side of things. Tracking is tedious. It'll give us the data a lot easier. And I think we'll be able to automate a lot of the things that are repetitive. So, a lot of our messaging that happens in client success to keep clients re-engaged, or let's say if you are seeing like a client hasn't logged into the school platform in 3 weeks and they haven't interacted, then, you can hopefully have some automation that just reaches out. I think that's probably already being done, but just to a higher level and more customized.
Yeah, I think you said it well. What was the rate of completion you said? Was it 20 or something like that?
I think it's less than 20%, might even be lower. I need to double check that.
Okay. Because I think that's right. You're right. And people like they come back and say it didn't work, and then we kind of say like as salespeople, like you haven't actually showed up and done the work. So it's actually not a me thing, it's a you thing. But that conversation doesn't usually go well, right? As you can imagine. So we have to kind of like make it a softer conversation. But I love that idea of that AI and tech will be better and faster with data collection, tracking, automating repetitive tasks, saving tons and tons of time, and also a higher accountability. I think, like you said, to get those higher completion rates, myself, every one of us needs, more accountability, right? And we lack that whether it's human or whether it's technology, it doesn't matter. I think if we can have more touch points, and I'll go back to my soccer coaching, like I found that the teams that did the worst were the ones that did the traditional soccer drills, which is like you go in a line and everyone waits to dribble the ball. Whereas my coaching is everyone needs to touch the ball as many times as possible at all times.
Yeah.
Right. And that the touch point with accountability is that their higher completion rate will result in better results and growth and also monetary return. So that was really helpful. And you shared so many nuggets here. And I want to do a lightning round, which is getting to know Shyanne. And this is going to be like a minute reel where we're going to kind of run through some questions and you just kind of react and give us your answer. Okay.
Sure.
So morning or night person?
Night.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Favorite productivity hack?
Do the easiest things first.
Favorite AI tool that you can't live without?
ChatGPT.
A work-life balance tip?
Stop working once the quality of your work starts to go down, because your productivity, it's just better spent elsewhere.
Best way to remove distractions so that you can get that focus?
Noise canceling headphones does wonders. Just that's it.
Okay. Hidden talent or hobby? Maybe your followers or your clients or even friends or people that don't know about you.
I'm a Pilates instructor.
Okay, nice. If there was a vocation or a career that you could do that's completely not related, maybe it's a dream, maybe it's a childhood dream when you were a little girl of what you wanted to be or what you could be, and maybe you don't have that skill or talent, which is totally okay. We can just dream here. What would that be?
Oh, there's so many. Okay, if it could be like anything, I would want to be an astronaut.
Okay. And what were your other ones that you had in mind? Because you obviously had many.
I wanted to be a marine biologist, a psychologist, archaeologist. Those were like
a lot of is.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Motivational quote or mantra?
Right now, I actually have it written down. It's only as hard as you make it.
Favorite book?
The Power of Now.
To do what you are doing, to learn what you're doing now, who were some of the influences or people that you listened to or read or met that help you do what you do now better?
I think Ethical Scaling, which is another client delivery company in the high ticket space. Like, they have been super helpful. And I would say all of the people that I've coached along the way, they were so generous with their feedback. And I wouldn't have the experience without people putting their trust in me.
Amazing. So people can find about Shyanne, and if you can just share, there's two things that you're gifting. So thank you for these. The Closer's Career Shift Playbook. Can you kind of describe what that is?
Yeah, so this is the exact playbook for how to move from closing into a client success role, which has more stability, more long-term upside. And I think it hits on the goals that a lot of people had when they originally got into closing. So it's just a good option for people who are looking for that next step in their career, but want to stay in the high ticket space. So that is what the Closer's Career Shift Playbook is about.
Amazing. So all the closers that are listening here, and I was a closer, that's a very interesting playbook. so you said consistent, and I think that's key, because as a closer, it was feast or famine for me. Because, you know,
Yes.
if marketing or paid ads was broken, or they turned the faucet off for whatever reason, and they have their different reasons, it's like, I remember I had like 4 calls in 2 weeks. I cannot close calls if I don't have any, right? So my commission is greatly affected. So that was like why I had to leave, even though I helped them generate, you know, six-figure months and 7-figure years. So can they make more, or is it just consistent?
I would say it's more around consistency for most high ticket offers at the moment. If they have upsells, I think then you have the opportunity to kind of like match. But with the consistency, like the closers that I've helped transition, they've actually made more just for the fact of not having these feast or famine cycles, but they're consistently making like between 5 to 10K, I think, yeah, on average, around 5 to 10K a month, just, you know, because on the client success side, we need the closers to close, and we don't like hold that responsibility. It's on you guys. And we're usually making some kind of base pay alongside these commissions and performance bonuses.
Amazing. So if you guys are looking to hire a client success expert, Shyanne is your gal to go to, and she has gifted you the Closers Career Shift Playbook that helps closers go and shift and transform into client success, which has more stability, more upsides, and really making more money. Because I mean, even as a closer, even if you made 15, 20K 1 month, but you make 0 the next, the overall for the year, you're making less. So there you go. So thank you, Shyanne, for coming and sharing your amazing insights, your journey, literally falling off roofs and getting back up and helping scaling companies into multi-millions. Any last words for people who are listening, who are closers, who didn't know that there was a possible alternative, another role that they could take in client success? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of like marketing messaging being thrown at closers, and the idea of success is 20K a month in the closing space. And in reality, I would say it's not the best place for everybody. If you love the consultative selling, and you like coaching, and you are a people person, and you still want to sell, but like you don't want to have to deal with everything that comes with that, and you still want to work remote, client success is like an amazing place where like I would, I wouldn't be where I am having not been a CSM. And I got to look behind the curtain of so many of these multi-million-dollar companies because I was the person delivering it. And if you want to move into any other industries afterwards, this is a great step in, because the founders need you to be successful and to learn the program in order for their clients to be successful. So you will have to grow. It's not an option in that role.
Amazing. And that growth mindset is so important. And can people contact you if they want to shift or learn more about going from closing to client success?
Yeah, exactly. So any businesses that are looking to redo their client success systems or like see similar results that I'd walk through, then you can absolutely contact me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Same for all of the closers. I have a full like module for everything that I give these businesses. I give you as well, so that you can help us like, you know, it would be like multiplying myself, where we can have all these amazing client success people and transform the industry a lot faster.
Amazing. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you, Shyanne, for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. If you are a multi-6 or 7+ figure entrepreneur, comment podcast. I'd like to have you on the Sales Ninja Show podcast next. And last but not least is please comment. Guest, if you would like a complimentary guest pass to the Sales Ninja Psychology Masterclass, which happens every Thursday at 10 a.m., which is tomorrow, EST, where we're going to share with you mindset, sales psychology, and how you can basically grow and scale your sales without sounding salesy, sleazy, or pushy. So again, Shyanne, thank you so much for giving us your late evening, and from a Calgary gal, from a teenage girl who crushed it in College Pro to crushing in the high ticket space. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay. Take care, guys, and we'll see you on the next show.